What better way to say I love you than to be using janky ass technology at the age of 43 when I've been doing this for 15 years, 17 years. Really? 16 years? I started in 2006 making internet videos. It's a long time. Well, here's to 16 more or 13 more, whatever the hell the number is. I don't really have an agenda for this video except I want to talk about Christ a little bit, or Jesus, or Moses, or Muhammad, or all the people throughout history that have witnessed God and understood it. Here's to Jacob. Here's to Judah. All the people that we don't know about that felt it and experienced it, that didn't have the wonderful group of humans around them to remember. God is real. I was I was telling God last night that I will come back to help the humans if I leave, when I leave, because I believe in them. I think that we are destined to unite the faith. What does that mean? Unite the galaxy, unite humanity, to bring people together to sort of, I don't know, spawn out across the galaxy and build a federation of decentralized states. Let's do it. Let's do it. I think a lot about religion these days. I've been thinking a lot about God, just because ever since I witnessed the cosmic microwave background radiation, they show us these visuals with radio telescopes, and look it up, the CMBR, if you haven't saw it. It's like a web of energy that it's radiation left over from the Big Bang. I'm not sure if it's photons, plasma, combination of all the above radiation. And it's like webbing out through the universe, the known universe, and it looks like it's like arcing through, you know, paths of least resistance like planetoids, like stars and quasars and planets and human bodies, even, I imagine, because like we've got these magnetic fields around us. So we're all part of this field of radiation, this leftover field of radiation. It's really only one way to look at what's happening, but it is one way to look at what's happening. And once I saw that, I mean, I was born and raised pretty agnostic. My mom went to Catholic school. My dad was like raised Lutheran, but never really went to church in his adult life. My mom had a really bad experience at Catholic school. Like the nuns smacked her hands with rulers if they talked, or if they had dirty fingernails, they'd make them show their. She was pretty abusive, in the '60s. So she hated it. She was like, "I'm not. I will never send you to a religious school. They were horrible. They were horrible." And so she had a bad taste in it. So I was skeptical growing up, and I thought of myself as agnostic. I mean, why pretend to believe in something that I don't understand, or to say it doesn't exist when I don't understand it? I just don't know. So I'll be agnostic. And I felt very comfortable in that. But seeing the science lately, like quantum, when you see like quantum entanglement, and microwave background, and like the way that plasma seems to have a sort of sentience, like plasma fields, it doesn't just flow like wind, like clouds. It moves fast, and it changes shape and stuff. Like there's something going on bigger and better, or greater, I should say, than humans. Not necessarily better, it's just greater. It's bigger and greater. Like Alexander the Great was a mass murderer, but greater in its scope. There's something great going on here, in addition to being human. So I've taken a turn for, I mean, not religious. I don't think that believing in a god or like a superstructure makes you necessarily religious. Religions are kind of when humans write it up and are like, this is what it is. See, this is what they said. This is how it is. And I feel like that's trying to claim a monopoly on the force of God, or whatever you want to call it. And like God can be broken up into many parts. So when people say that this is like demons and shit, like that's part of God, but that's just like an increment. So when you think that like these little things are 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 real, like they are, but they're part of a greater system that is also real. And I think the entirety of the system is what I would classify as God. And even that, like it's just the entirety of what I see. There's, I'm sure, stuff outside of what I can perceive or even understand that we will at some point realize, like, oh, what we thought was God was a part of something greater, which is now the new perception of God. And I don't like talking about what I hate. I do like talking about what I love, but I will talk about what I dislike just for context. I don't like seeing people of different faiths, of different religions, different beliefs, even agnosticism or atheism, to go at it, to say like this is how it is. No, 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 this is how it is. this is how it is. Yeah, and this is how it is. Like it's okay to say Allah is great and God is great, and they are the same. Like it's different ways of looking at the same thing. A lot of these things, like even people that look at it and see nothing are looking at the same thing in a different way. So we're all obviously very tightly knit as a species and aware and in touch with this. Um, you don't have to know how a computer works to know that a computer works or to use a computer. And I think a lot of that's the same with God. You don't have to know how it works or what it is to necessarily live in synchronicity with it. And I think we are all living in synchronicity with it. Um, I want to refocus people on just the idea and essence of God and get people away from trying to convince others that their way of looking at it is the only way or the right way or the best way because it's just a way, you know. It is just one way of many, 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 and many more to come. People will continue to redefine and re-understand and receive messages from God and understanding, and God will give you different insight and advice depending on the situation. Like the Jews were told from what I've read or heard about the Torah and things like that, like they were like, the goyim, the non-Jews, like they're not as good as you. Like you need to take advantage of the people that are not of the faith because they were historically enslaved by those people. So God was like, you need to step on the slavers if you want to break free and become, you know, your greatest self. You need to uh, not eradicate, but like just, suppress the slavers, which was like everyone else. This is it's a very brute force way of explaining what I understand. And I'm not a Jewish scholar by any recognition, but I think that that's why they receive messages like, you know, don't take those people seriously because a lot of they were treated so poorly 8,000 years ago or 6,000, 5,000 years ago, whenever that time was when they were being enslaved by the Egyptians. Psychotic Egyptian just turned on them and it started to enslave the people. So, but then Jesus came along and then God's telling him other stuff like, it's a time for like kindness and revolution against the empire. And like God is in heaven, not on earth. You don't worship a human, you worship the field itself and kind of reoriented people. And then I don't know a lot about Muhammad, but he came along and he was a warrior priest. Like he had no choice but to fight because he and his friends and his tribes of Bedouins were being persecuted by the barbarians in Mecca, and uh, they had to fight back or they would have been annihilated. So I don't really know a lot about the tenets of the pillars of Islam. I know that fasting is one of them, and Ramadan, which I'm a big proponent of. But they were, it's like if you're backed into a corner, you fight, is what the tenet, one of the tenets of that, or one of the forces of that faith is like, don't let yourself be snubbed out. Fight back if you're being destroyed. You have to. It's same with like, of course, murder is wrong, but that doesn't mean killing is wrong. If your life is being threatened by someone that's trying to kill you and you kill them, then you did something right just to protect yourself and others. That's the idea, I believe. And that's why self-defense is such an important part of the United States of America, why we have the Second Amendment and property rights and things like that. So these three religions, the three Abrahamic religions, kind of they tell different stories from different periods of history and from different people and places and perspectives. And God's it's wonderful like that's malleable. It's here for us. Well, we're here for it, but it's all kind of like it's not going to tell you to enslave other people if you don't have to. It's going to tell you to lift them up. Like right now, I feel like we're in an age of enlightenment where we're supposed to bring other people up from different faiths or backgrounds. We have this technology and we have so much food and transportation and ways to bring information to people and to send food to people and to bring warm food and clothing to people that that's the focus for me. Shout out to the prophets opening up that gut channel. I, I I believe that fasting is a huge part of it because like I think about neurons. and the ability to understand and to feel the essence of God or whatever. I really don't want to overuse that word God. I don't want to weaponize it. I don't want to use it for power. I don't want to manipulate it, but I really do believe there's a field. I don't know what it is exactly, but like a vibrating essence of field that's, within us. It's part of us. It's like creating us. If you watch like the way that the human embryo duplicates, it like shakes and then it like splits. And then if you watch kymatics, where they put sand on a vibrating platform and they change the frequency, it vibrates and then it splits and then it vibrates. And it's like it's a similar behavior, and it's all seems to be based on vibration. When I think about like connecting with the source, for me personally, whenever I clear out my gut, whenever I fast a little bit, um, and like choose not to eat bread instead, leave my stomach clean, because there's like neurons. I think a lot of part of like understanding the messaging from without that comes to you is to be open to the vibration, neural vibration, whatever causes thoughts to appear. And that happens in your muscles. There's neurons in your muscles and in your brain and in your heart and in your stomach. And eating kind of busies up the neurons in your stomach. And when I am very full, my energy is focused on digestion and not puking. And I'm not open to like receiving information from outside of myself when that's the case. But when my gut is empty or less full, relatively empty, it's much easier to understand and to just to tear up even at the feeling and the thoughts that come, and the future projections that I have about the things I can do and the things I've done to help people. A lot of these religions bring a special awesomeness to the world. Well, I didn't have a I didn't have a like an agenda with this video. I just wanted to start making one. I hope that you remember and I remember, no one religion is the right one. They're all interesting and available and historical, or historic, I guess is the word. They're the books, the history books of the Bible and the Old Testament, which is kind of like, why do they call it old? What's wrong with calling it the Torah or it's weird. It's almost like it's like propaganda to call it old. There's a new one now, the old one though. Like, no, dude, that's like Christian prop. Why would you call it old? It's just another book talking about a different story. It's not old. It's a different time and place. I think they're both so valuable. Romans, man. You trust the Roman Empire, the ones that built the church, that killed Jesus Christ, and then they made a religion out of the guy 35 years after his death? Like, that's fucked up. That is fucked. That's like they went around and eradicated Jews. Like, they went around and eradicated people that weren't Roman. They enslaved people that weren't Roman. They were supremacists. They were Roman supremacists, like truly Nazis of the time. Like but they were like the Nazis if the Nazis had succeeded to conquer and create an Aryan race, a Roman race, one true great people, the Romans. They thought they were like the center of the world. They really, really racist people. And then they made a religion out of this guy who was like, don't create false prophets. God is in heaven. And then like, no, like he said he was God. So you got to believe it and we'll kill you if you don't. And then they went around and killed all these people for not believing their new religion of Christianity. I just don't trust the Roman Empire. Doesn't mean that Jesus wasn't phenomenal. He was. At least it seems like he was. The messaging that some of this messaging is like just implicitly awesome, man. His perceptions, the way he viewed the world, from what I can gather. But a lot of that stuff comes from the Roman archetypes, the Roman architecture, and like the Roman books and the books that the Romans allowed to exist. The Roman Catholic Church. It wasn't just it wasn't just a beautiful religion. It was Roman. It was the Romans. They realized we can't conquer the world and control it militarily. So We'll have to control their minds. And like for people not to question the Roman Catholics, the Roman Church, for people not to question the central authority of the empire is like, dude, you question CNN when they put out a news article. If they don't have something like links to verify the story, it's bullshit. If they can't back it up and verify their statements, you don't trust it. So why would you trust a 2,000-year-old book written by a Roman emperor or Roman Empire or allowed to be propagated or proliferated by the empire? Why would you believe that if you have questioned CNN? I want people to realize this, that it's the same centralized authority attempting to give you the information, and you're supposed to trust them. It doesn't mean that God is wrong or that God isn't real. God is real, and we're supposed to, well, whatever. We're all supposed to do our own thing, and everyone sees and perceives. Like I've perceived God as in different shapes and phrases. Like it comes to me in the shape of a woman that I love, or my mom, or the voice of like just a booming voice that has no corporeal form. And then sometimes it'll just be like visions of what I'm supposed to do and things like that. It doesn't have to be any one shape or size or gender or or thing like that. It's a field that you can perceive in the way you need to at the time. I want to wrest it away from the monopolistic force of religion and focus people on the essence of what it means or the to be. Merry Christmas. The Spirit of Christ is coming out. It's within you. It's within me. It comes down and it comes through people. They said Jesus had it, so they called him the Christ. You're the Christ. And he was like, I'm just a guy. I don't know what he was like, but I imagine he was a humble dude, but he was also feeling God and understanding he was God. It goes through you, and then you realize you are it. But that's for everyone. Everyone. It goes through everyone. And only when you're able to perceive it do you understand I am God. But you are God. We are God. We are each fingers of it. We're all like these little, like a fungi, like a they in the Northwest United States, it's the largest living organism on Earth, the largest creature on Earth, I guess you could say, and it's a mycelial network underground, a fungal network. The largest living organism on Earth is a network of fungus underground in the Pacific Northwest in the United States. And all throughout the area, you see mushrooms popping up out of the ground. But underground, they're all connected in this mycelial web. That's the God, is the connection, the web. And then we are the little things poking up out. It looks like we're all separate, but in reality, we're all connected. You should, you will experience God in your own way. And you never have to feel guilty about that. Feel energized by it and explain it to other people how you see it and listen to them and see how they see it. And together you'll create something new. And your ideas and perceptions will change over time. That's evolution.